All right, let's start. Welcome, everybody. It's my pleasure to welcome you at our webinar on customer experience management. Who am I? Well, I'm Yves Van Vaerenbergh. Some of you know me already. I see some familiar names in the list of participants. I guess there's still some people joining. We had people registering actually from all over the world, so that's quite fascinating, quite interesting. I'm Yves Van Vaerenbergh, and most people know me as a professor of customer experience management at KU Leuven, one of the Belgian universities. But next to that, I'm also wearing the hat of founding partner at KALEPA. I will briefly talk about KALEPA in a minute, not too long, of course. And as was mentioned in the introduction as well, received multiple awards for the work on customer experience management. And there's one that I'm really proud of, and that's the Emerging Service Scholar Award from the American Marketing Association that I received just before summer, which is granted to only one person a year all across the world who has made the biggest impact in the field. So that was really one that I'm really proud of and that I really wanted to mention. A little bit about KALEPA. So we're a team of 6 people. We have 5 founding partners. In the meantime, we expanded to 6. And from left to right, you notice myself, you notice Saskia, Dirk, Christel, Annelies, and Isabel. And all of us are really eager to improve the customer experience within organization, either from a strategy perspective, from an implementation perspective, from an education perspective, and so on. So we're growing at an extremely fast rate. Some of you know KALEPA already, some don't. So KALEPA is a spin-off from KU Leuven, and we're commercially active since the beginning of 2021. So right in the middle of the Corona period, we decided to found a company, and took us some time and some efforts to overcome everything. But we are active since 2021. We consider ourselves experts in experience and service management. That's really our core domain. That's really our field. That's what we're passionate about. And we focus on education, training, implementation in various companies. And what sets us apart from other consulting firms in the area is that we really try to use evidence-based approaches. So we try to combine scientific insights and practical experience. If you go back to the people that I just showed you, right? Some have PhDs, so they have more scientific background. Other people have 20, 30 years of experience in really implementing customer experience. So we brought those two together so that we can do the best for organizations and really help them to improve customer experience. And it's really going well. We have clients from all industries, from B2C to B2B. We're doing projects from Latin America to Asia already, which is kind of fascinating. Of course, the biggest bulk of our clients come from Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. But enough about KALEPA. I think you're all here for something else, and that's for the topic of today. And I think it's no surprise when I state that customer experience management is really booming, right? It's a hot topic these days. Many people are talking about it. Many people are giving seminars about it. We are organizing webinars about it. There are more and more companies focused on customer experience. We have more articles, blog posts, inspiration speakers, gurus, you name it, that all stress the importance of the customer experience. So the industry is really booming. We see more and more customer experience managers, customer experience departments in organizations. So it's an understatement that it's booming. But at the same time, you would expect, well, despite all of that, you would expect that there is kind of a big surge in positive customer experiences, that many organizations are delivering top experiences to their customers. And that's actually not happening, right? We still see that bad experiences are common. And there are some academic studies that show, for example, that over a period of 20 years, customer satisfaction did not improve. So the average satisfaction level didn't go up, which is fascinating. There are studies showing that over a period of 40 years, customer satisfaction with the way that companies handle complaining customers, how they deal with service failures, didn't go up as well. So despite all the efforts that we're doing, all the stuff that we're doing, all the money that is being poured into managing the customer experience, we not always see a result. So something is going on here. Something strange is going on here. And that's what we call the customer experience paradox. Because, yeah, with all the resources that are available, with all these keynote speakers, gurus, consultancy firms, software companies, I forgot those, that are investing in the customer experience, you would expect that things are taking off. And that doesn't seem to happen. Right? And we had the Corona crisis as well. And during Corona crisis, we noticed that many organizations struggled with the customer experience, and that they suddenly realized, like, maybe we don't understand our customers as good as we thought we understood them. So a brutal reality is that only 15 to 20% of all customer experience management programs succeed, according to Gartner, according to Forrester, according to all these major organizations. You notice that something is going on, right? And if only 1 in 5, 1 in 6 succeeds, yeah, then that tickles our curiosity, right? And then we need to understand why this is happening, right? Because, on the one hand, I'm wearing my academic hat, and when I see something like this, I just want to dive into it, and I really want to understand what's going on. And we did so. We analyzed the situation. We looked at everything that's happening within organizations, and the major conclusion that we arrived to was this one: there is no silver bullet. There is no magic formula that suddenly will turn your organization from a less customer experience focused company to a super focused company, or super focused on the customer experience. There is no silver bullet. There is no magic formula. And experience management is hard work. And throughout my conversations with business, with companies, with managers, directors over the last couple of years, I noticed that it's far more complex than we thought it is, or that many people thought it is. So what I see in organizations is that many organizations consider a voice of the customer program and an NPS survey or whatever customer satisfaction survey as kind of a sufficient to kind of capture the customer experience. So they run a voice of the customer program, get these insights, they get feedback, and they start improving things. And that's, of course, a part of customer experience management, but that alone is not enough. And something else that I noticed was that, well, some organizations, they assemble a team of people, maybe from different departments, and they bring them together in a meeting room, and they give them some post-it notes, they give them some markers, a whiteboard, and the general assignment is, okay, improve the customer experience, right? Design a journey that is really perfect for our customers. And usually that ends up in a nice afternoon. And people are in the meeting room, they determine what the ideal customer journey should be, and they go out of the meeting room and try to implement it, and typically it doesn't work, or it's not followed up. So doing a customer journey mapping exercise alone is not enough. So that's, again, brutal reality that we notice. We notice that some organizations try to improve the customer experience by putting some posters on the wall, by communicating some messages like, okay, how important the customer is, right? Think about the customer over and over again. Is this recognizable to you? Is this something that you are doing at this point in time? Maybe you can answer in the chat. Is this something that you do? Sounds very real, very recognizable. So we did this analysis and we found out, okay, it's more than this. It's, hi Robbe. Robbe is a former student of mine. That's nice. No, this is what typically happens. And we noticed like, okay, people are doing all these things and they're doing it in a great way, but maybe there's more to it. So it turns out that managing the customer experience is something super complex, is something that people are really, are really investing a lot of time in, investing a lot of effort, but it's a huge, it's very complex. So according to you, what is everything that should be done here? What does it take to really transition from a company that is maybe less focused on the customer experience to kind of super strong focused company on the customer experience? What does it take according to you? And you can put your ideas and answers in the chat. Commitment, ownership. Can you clarify that a little bit, Jan? Consistency, absolutely. Consistency across touch points, I assume, across channels. Bottom-up communication line, yes. Mindset change, yes, absolutely. Connection, Kristen, what do you mean with connection? Getting all departments on the same level. Hi, Fanya, also a former student of mine, also fascinating to see. Understanding why customers love your product, so getting customer insights, creating company culture. Okay, Jan, thank you. Right, it's the responsibility of everybody. It relates to the whole culture idea, culture empowerment, a clear value definition. Okay, consistent top-down management. All right, put the client in the center. That's also culture, perhaps. Start with the customer. Great answers, and all of you are right. Right, this is not a test, so no worries. But all of you are right. All of you are pinpointing at certain aspects of the customer experience. Right, accept the stepwise approach. Voice of the employees, Michaela, absolutely. You're the first one, I guess, who really mentions the employee. That's already a lot. And I can already tell you at this point in time, it's not everything. It's not everything. It's more than that. And whenever I do this exercise with executives, directors, managers, you name it, I get these kind of answers. So these answers are kind of the established ones. But there are some things that I notice, like, okay, these are maybe not addressed. So we did an analysis of companies. We looked at, okay, what sets a good company apart from a company that is less good at it? What are they doing? And we didn't focus on like the Starbuckses and the Disneys and whatever that everyone is referring to, but they have super big budgets. No, we looked at various companies across industries in order to figure out, okay, but what is it that it takes? And we came to a list of 10 things that CX leaders do. Companies that are really super good at the customer experience, they do 10 things. And the first one is they make strategic choices about the customer experience. They connect it to the overall strategy. I see many organizations that are taking CX initiatives that are not really connected to kind of the final goal of the organization, to the overall strategy. So they connect the dots. They make strategic choices about customer experience. They develop a customer experience strategy, and they connect that. They embed that within the overall strategy of the organization. So that's kind of a first thing that CX leaders do. The second thing is that they connect things to the brand, right? And one of you mentioned consistency is important. The brand is really important in that regard. The brand can really help in creating that consistency. So they have a look at, okay, but what is this brand all about? The brand that should deliver the experience. What is it all about? What do people all know already about us? What are our typical brand elements, logos, colors, and so on that are being used? And we're going to translate that into experiences. Another thing that was mentioned was the customer insights. So understand the customer super well, understand what their frustrations are, understand what makes them happy, what makes them grateful, all these things. So CX leaders, they really connect with the customer. They really start collecting insights from customers. Another thing that they're doing is engaging in customer experience design. And I deliberately do not use the words customer journey mapping, because customer journey mapping is just a tool. They engage in customer experience design. So they take a lot of initiatives to design the experience. They define what the experience should be upfront. They write a CX statement. And then they start to kind of look at their current journeys, look at the current process. Okay, how can we redesign this? Using service design techniques, experience design techniques. They connect it to employees. Okay, but are our employees able to deliver this to the customer, right? We have designed something in particular. Are our employees, capable of delivering that experience? What about the customer itself? What is the role of the customer throughout this entire journey? Right? What do customers need to do? And how can we manage them, right? So that they deliver exactly what we need from them in order to give them a great customer experience. I'll come back to that in just a minute. They manage and adapt processes. So they try to systematically embed the customer experience into their processes. They are constantly searching for feedback. So that's number 7. They are constantly searching for feedback, collecting feedback, analyzing feedback, and translating that into process improvements. An 8th thing that we noticed is that they are laser focused on customer service. Customer service is very often considered as a cost center. It's something that you have to do. What we notice with customer experience leaders is that they really try to recover customers well, so that they are almost over investing in customer experience, in customer service. And it is an investment. There are studies showing that the return on investments can be really huge. I think it was between 90 and 400%, depending on the industry. But overall, they really invest a lot in customer service. They rethink their organizational structure. So they create a customer experience department, customer experience manager. They might appoint a customer experience director. And in the most extreme cases, they even reinvent the company. So they move away from the silos, move away from the departments, from the business units, and they change their company into customer units, right? Build around one big customer or group of customer with similar needs. That's how they redesign it. So that's, of course, the most extreme case. And finally, something that most of you mentioned was the culture, right? They built a customer-centric culture. They mention the focus on the customer continuously. So they really invest a lot in these things. So this is based on our analysis. These are kind of the 10 major topics, 10 major domains that customer leaders are doing. And of course, if we just tell you this, then it's still hard to connect the dots, perhaps. So we realized, okay, we need to translate this into something useful. So that's why we started building a canvas, customer experience canvas. If you look at the three on the left, actually they're all pretty strategic. They are all about making an analysis. It's about making strategic choices. These are things that are being done with a marketing department, with a board of directors, with a market research agency, or with other departments as well that connect with customers. But these are more strategic. This is more about understanding, on the one hand, understanding what we're all about, what we're doing, understanding what customers are doing, what customers want. So that's kind of the first step. If you want to develop your customer experience management program, think about these three things first. And then you can move to the next step, which is more kind of a management implementation part, where you think about, okay, how can we design a customer experience, right? How can we design a customer experience in line with the organizational strategy, in line with the brand, in line with what customers want? And once we have that, okay, what are the implications of this for our people and for our processes? And how can we connect the right indicators to it? On the one hand, customer feedback, but also maybe some KPIs, so that you can keep track of, okay, we designed this, and this is really what we, or this is really what we're achieving. And the final stage is more like an implementation stage, right? It's, okay, what if we start implementing this new experience? What are we doing when it doesn't go as intended, right? And if we move to this new experience, okay, what does it mean for our organizational structure? And how can we let everyone within the organization know that, yeah, this is really the new style, the new way of working, right? And that's the whole culture part. So whenever we move into an experience management program, if we do that with some of our current customers, this is almost the first thing that we do. Make an analysis of, okay, what are you doing right now? What is your strategy? What are your goals with the organization? What is the brand all about? What do customers want? Do you have the insights that you need? What are their frustrations? We then move to a design. Okay, let's redesign the customer experience, connecting it with these three elements in red. And then we look at processes, then we look at people, then we attach performance indicators to it. And then we move to kind of the implementation. So this is what we do. This is what we developed in order to help you out. And so we developed it at KU Leuven. It is transferred to KALEPA. And the canvas is really powerful. Whenever we show this to clients, whenever we show this in workshops, in master classes, suddenly people start to connect the dots, right? And all the things that you mentioned before suddenly start to connect with each other, right? So we believe that this is really a powerful tool for you to use when setting up your program, because it's in one page, it gives you an entire snapshot of everything that needs to be done in order to manage that customer experience well, and in order to get things going. So did you have that same perception, same impression as well? Does it help you to kind of connect the dots a little bit more, to kind of see the bigger picture? You can put it in the chat. Everyone is still processing everything. Thank you, Jan. It really helps. It really helps us to see the big picture, and it really helps us to understand what needs to be done. But Rob, a very good question, right? Would it be dangerous to try and adapt this model to employee experience? No. I think we can adapt this to the employee experience as well. The employee experience and customer experience, there's always a debate whether one is more important than the other. Both are intertwined, both are interconnected. We believe that the canvas is actually quite flexible, is actually quite strong in that sense. We use this to manage the candidate experience. So the people who are in the recruitment and selection process, we notice that we can tweak it to that as well. So it's kind of flexible, and employee experience on the one hand is included in the people component, but probably we can tweak this to an employee experience canvas as well. Ashwin, would the canvas be shared with customer to know their views matches with that of the original? Absolutely. And well, we're not going to share the entire canvas, but for example, when it's when we're following or when we're doing the consumer insights, that's something. If you drop your final reports, if you drop your final conclusions, typically that's done using more qualitative work, doing in-depth interviews, reading documents, reading online reviews, and all that stuff. It's always good to validate that. And the same for the design phase, right? If you look at what is the intended customer experience? What's the experience that we want to create with our customers? Yeah, it's always good to validate that. So I think it's probably too much to really show everything to the customer, but I would always take bits and pieces of the canvas and try to validate that with customers. Esther, would this model be valid for B2B companies? Absolutely. We're implementing this with a big B2B company where we're doing kind of a major program. And it's really something that works in a B2B company as well. And we've seen this with startups, even startups that are using this framework to kind of think about, okay, what is the experience that we want to create and so on. So it's quite flexible. And a B2B company also has a strategy, also has a brand, and maybe the brand is a little bit less important in that case, but still people know the B2B company in a certain way. B2B company also needs to collect customer insights. So absolutely, we're using this in a program with a big B2B player, worldwide big B2B player. So yes, definitely. Right, great reactions. And to be honest, that's what we see very often when we're teaching a masterclass or when we're teaching a workshop or when we're taking the canvas with us into a meeting room. It helps people to connect the dots. It makes people really excited. I see Wienand's comment in the chat. I can only advise you to take the masterclass. Nice to see you again, Wienand. And probably he can attest as well, like, okay, it helps you to see the bigger picture. And that's something that we noticed that was really missing within organizations. So going over the canvas a little bit, or the parts of the canvas, what are the things that you need to do? I already discussed something, so maybe we can go over this a little bit quicker. Determine a customer experience strategy in line with the overall strategy. And making your organization more customer oriented is really something that requires a business transformation. And that's exactly my answer to Ashwin's question about top level. This red section is something that we do with a board of directors, with a top management team, with the executive level, because they often keep track of all of this. other things in the canvas, more the green section and the blue sections. Very often it's with other departments as well, more kind of director, middle management, depends a little bit on what we're focusing on. But of course, the starting point in most of our programs that we're doing is actually almost always the top management team, or we need to go to the top management team at one point. Could be that we start with customer service and then go to the top management team afterwards. So yeah, it's about strategy. It's about knowing what the brand is all about. It's about documenting the current marketing program. Okay, what is marketing doing? Marketing is creating a lot of touch points with customers. So, okay, what are they doing? And one touch point that marketing is creating might have an effect on other people within the organization. I remember an example from a company that launched a big campaign about shopping online and spend an awful lot of budget to it, but the marketing department forgot to tell the other departments. So suddenly they saw a surge in number of online orders, and yeah, the company couldn't handle that. It was a little bit too much, so they shut down the web shop. That was the best option. So they were not prepared for it. Turns out, yeah, if you shut down a web shop while you're making a big campaign about it, yeah, the next step is that you have an overflow in the customer service department. So that's another consequence of that. So we need to be very careful here, and we really need to see that everything is connected. So what marketing is doing, we need to know what they're doing, because it sets expectations with customers, and it can create additional touch points. Gathering insights about what customers value, their frustrations, their touch points, their moments of truth, using qualitative, quantitative, essentially every insights that you can get. It's really something that, is almost quintessential, right? You need to have the customer's insight at one point in time. Jan, I will come back to your question right away. I'll definitely dive into that. A very good question. Design and manage. Something that we definitely recommend is writing a CX statement. Okay, what is the intended customer experience? What do we want customers to experience? And most organizations don't have that. They don't have this explicit statement, like one sentence or a couple of words where, yeah, okay, what is the intended experience? They don't have that. So if you don't know what the final goal should be, then it's pretty hard to kind of, transition the company towards that. So definitely a big recommendation, write a CX statement, and then you can use that into other parts of the program. Think about, how you manage people, how you manage processes in a different way. If you design the experience, if you wrote an experience statement, for example, we want our customers to feel grateful, right? We know that grateful is the number one emotion that drives customer relationships. Yeah, how should our people do that? And what are the processes that lead to it? So let's drill down on that one. What are the consequences for our hiring policies? What are the consequences for employee training, for employee rewards, perhaps, for more technical processes, for technology that we're using? So what about people? What about processes? And what about KPIs and customer feedback? That's one that is really well known. Then the implementation phase. Yeah, okay, how do you deal with customers who do not get the desired experience? What is their journey? It's a separate journey that they're starting, which we call the recovery journey. Yeah, okay, how are we going to deal with those people? How are we going to help them out? How are we going to turn a negative experience into a positive one? How are we going to embed it within our organization? So are we going to appoint an experience manager, or simply asking the question, who owns the customer experience? Typically the answer is, everyone. But if everyone is responsible, in the end, no one is responsible. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to embed it in the organization? Structurally, but also culturally. So what are the actions that we're going to take? So if you do all of that, essentially you have a number of questions that you can answer in each box. What do we want, essentially? How do they know us? And what do we promise to them? It's all about the brand. What do they want? How can we give them what they want to attain what we want in line with what we promise? That's essentially the design. How can we manage our people? How can we manage our processes? How are we going to track that we actually deliver what we designed? What are we going to do when things go wrong? How are we going to adapt our business? And how are we going to make everyone do the right thing without being told? So how to use the canvas, I quickly go through this. I think this is less important given the questions. I rather focus on the questions than on this one. But you can use the canvas to maintain oversight. You can use it in workshops. You can define projects within every building block of the canvas. So these are the approaches that we have. So if you look at one that is, filled in, this is typically what it looks like. So it's a lot of ahas and to-dos that are often appearing on the canvas. So Jan, coming back to your question, do you have experience with companies who get scared by the complexity of the approach, that it is bigger than they expected? Right? Is it more a step-by-step approach? Is that an alternative? Of course, this is something that it's a business transformation. It's a transition. Anyone who promises you to improve the customer experience in 1, 2, 3, I would be skeptical towards it, to be honest. I wouldn't believe them. It's a transition. And we see that most programs, right, they take some time. They take 1 year, 2 years in order to kind of go through the entire canvas. And what we do in the beginning is say, okay, make it very real, very feet on the ground. Like, okay, this is everything that needs to be done, but you need to start somewhere. And the starting point is typically, together with the top management team, we fill in that left column. And the next step that we do is design that CX statement. Okay, what is the experience that we want to have? That is kind of the basis. That's a very good starting point. And that's our step-by-step approach. Okay, we look at that design, and then we typically look at one specific process, a process where something goes wrong. It's something that, customers are complaining about, that we get a lot of customer service calls about, that we cannot handle well. Then that's really something that we will focus on. Or if it's something that we're going to make a priority, okay, that's what we'll focus on. So, for example, we're working with a big car brand right now, and we noticed that there are some problems with the car pickup experience. So, okay, that's one of the first things that we will look at. So, step by step, indeed, but without losing track of the big picture. And this is the big picture. Vanja, could you give some examples of how CX is measured, like KPIs? Well, if you write a CX statement, if you write what the experience should be about, for example, I want my customers to feel grateful, right? Okay, why not measure gratitude rather than the traditional satisfaction or happiness question? With one company that we consulted, the overall objective was to become a love brand. Okay, so that's in the brand identity. We want to become a love brand. That's something that you can kind of measure, that you can really include in your surveys. And we notice that sometimes people are scared about doing this, because the results might not always be super positive. Right? With a satisfaction survey, you kind of know that it's going to be positive. But if you ask people, okay, do you love this brand? Maybe the results are not what you want, but at least then you have a starting point for improvement. So Ashwin, I'll come back to your question right away. So Rome wasn't built in a day. Coming back to Jan's question, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's really a transition. It's really a big thing, and yeah, it's a step-by-step. Yeah, it's a program that you set up with sub-projects in it, where you drill down on all these processes, like recruitment and selection processes. Right, with one of the clients that we consulted, the people in the recruitment and selection department, they got the statement, so they really have this next to them, and whenever they're evaluating candidate for a frontline employee role, someone who is facing a customer, very often it's this what they're looking for. This is the experience that that person should be able to deliver. So that's how they're kind of transitioning slowly. So what can KALEPA do for you? And that's coming back to Ashwin's question. How can we help the canvas make a reality? On the one hand, we have training and education, and we had the nice comment from Wienand. We didn't pay him, and I didn't know that he would show up here, to be clear. So it's really from the bottom of his heart, which is really for which I'm grateful. But yeah, we organize training, we organize education about experience management, but sometimes people think that we're only theoretical because we were a KU Leuven spin-off or a university spin-off, so probably it's too theoretical. That's actually not the case. We try to translate it into more easy to understand language. And we also do consulting. So we really help organizations, big organizations, smaller organizations, to improve that customer experience. So where we do really strategy workshops, where we do experience design workshops, where we really do coaching, where we really do implementation, so that the whole experience thing is really embedded. And one mistake that we see in many organizations is that experience management is kind of a theoretical exercise, but doesn't really get to the frontline employee who really needs to serve customers. So we have real experts in that area, in that matter, that can help you out. What else do we do? Something that Wienand mentioned about the master classes. We have 3 main master classes. One is the hands-on experience management, where we really focus on that experience design part, where we really focus on a middle management, and we focus on that implementation. So lots of examples, a lot of practical exercises, but the hands-on masterclass is really one where you can have as the word says itself, you can have the hands-on experience of improving the customer experience, where you work on an example together with Annelies. Annelies is teaching this masterclass. So if you're looking for kind of more than hands-on experience, if your company decided, okay, this is what the experience should be about, and it's your job to implement it, then this masterclass is definitely the one that you need. If you're more at a executive level, more at a directorial level, then the executive masterclass is really what you're looking for. And here we talk about kind of major questions first. So what is the impact on shareholder value? What's the impact on margins? What's the impact on revenues of investing in the customer experience? And how do we translate that into a strategy? So executive masterclass is more about kind of the red section of the canvas. The green section is more kind of the management part, is more in the hands-on. And like the executive is a combination of red and green. The hands-on is more green and blue, so more the implementation part. But again, lots of examples. Wienand followed the executive masterclass. And we have a new one coming up because we see that many organizations are still struggling with customer service, and especially about making customer service a priority with top management. So that's why we're working out a masterclass on smarter customer service for a better customer experience. It's always a 2-day masterclass so that we can really work on things in more detail. And more info is coming soon on the KALEPA website. So I think it's time for me to wrap up and shut up, perhaps, and ask for your questions. We already had kind of significant number of questions, which I really like and really enjoy. But yeah, first of all, I hope that I could ignite a spark and give you some insights, new insights perhaps, on managing the customer experience, on understanding what needs to be done. But are there any remaining burgeoning questions that you have and that you would like to ask? What's your experience applying the CX approach on your organization? You mean at KALEPA itself, even, or in general? Thank you, Mark. See you later. Ivan, could you clarify your question a little bit, please? Ashwin, is the CX canvas inspired by the business model canvas? Yes and no. Business model canvas, big thing. It's really something that inspired many people, and we noticed that putting something in a A4 or an A3 or whatever size, just one snapshot can really help translating something, can really help simplifying something super complex without losing the complexity itself, right? And that's, in that sense, it is inspired, but we really started from scratch here, and we didn't look at the business model canvas components in general, because we felt that it had to be very specific. And if you look at the business model canvas, of course, there's a section in there on customer relations. In my view, that's still a bit vague, maybe needs to be a little bit more specific. But in this case, yes, it's something, it's definitely triggered our curiosity and our motivation to create one ourselves and to really take it forward. So I hope that answers your question. Ivan, what's your experience applying the CX approach on your organization? Well, we do so, and we did so. And right before the start, we did a customer experience statement workshop. So it took us 3 days, 3 workshops to get to a final statement. We even developed a framework for it. I can send it to you at a later stage, or maybe we should organize a webinar about it. But it's really something, we want our customers to feel inspired, for example. We want our customers to feel empowered to take action. And we want to show evidence for what we're doing, right? And those are just some examples that come from our statements. And it's that's something that we defined upfront. So, for example, we provide evidence for what we propose. Very often when we give a masterclass or when we have a bit more time, we also dive a little bit, not too much, not to frighten people, but we also dive a little bit into the academic evidence behind it. And that really supports what we're doing. And whenever we go into consulting, we also try to provide evidence. We also try to explain why we're doing the things that we're doing. So that's how we define it up front. And to give you an idea about customer feedback, for example, during a master class, we do a customer experience statement together with our participants. And we always ask them, like, okay, what do you think the statement is for us? What do you think the statement is for KALEPA? And then they start mentioning a number of things. And then we check, okay, how does this align with essentially what we promised? So I have a number of pictures from these statements that were written down by our clients, by our participants in a masterclass, and then how they compare with what we intended, and that's how it levels up. Yeah, those are just some examples. So we really apply it ourselves. Question from Jan: CX initiatives often start on middle management level. How to get senior management, board level committed? Big question, and I totally get you. What we've had situations like this in the past, and where we noticed the middle management person who said like, "Hey, this is really, I feel that." I feel that we need to do something about the customer experience. I have the data, but my board is not committed. That can happen. So at that point, we went in there together with the middle management, and we gave an inspiration session, like 1 hour, 2 hour inspiration session on the benefits of investing in customer experience. And we showed them the academic evidence, right? Not our gut feeling. We believe that revenue will go up. No, we show the academic evidence. And that already kind of triggers their curiosity, especially when we talk about shareholder value, for example. They're quite interested in that. If they can sell their company for more money, then we have their curiosity, then we have their attention. So you need to pass at the top level anyway at one point. There are some initiatives that you can take, but not all of them. And they need to be involved. And the smallest violin in the world is the one that works the best still. So we show them that evidence. So that's one way. In some cases, we supplied materials to the middle management. Okay, here's some, maybe it's the wrong words these times, but here's the ammunition to convince your board of the importance of investing in the customer experience. Ashwin, what has been the client's response to pre and post Canvas? Has it kind of translated to better customer understanding, better customer retention? Yes, definitely. Otherwise, we would stop working with it. Do I have numbers that I can share? Well, one client improved the NPS with 150% just by improving the customer experience in the right way, with some coaching exercises and so on. So there is definitely an improvement. But I think what's most important is the awareness, kind of awareness that it's more complex than people believe. It's a business transformation program that, rather than some initiatives, that's something that is really, opening their eyes, and probably that's the biggest benefit of using the Canvas pre and post. Okay, we're almost close to 1 hour. I promise I will not exceed it. If you have further questions, please let me know. Let me know, or let one of the KALEPians know. We're super excited about this topic, and I hope you were excited about it as well, or that we even made you more excited. So reach out to us. Let's connect. And if you have further ideas, further questions, don't hesitate. Just send them. If you really want to dive into it, definitely consider one of the master classes, because they are really deep dives into the Canvas, into experience design, where we have various methodologies as well. So thank you for attending. This was really nice questions, really nice interactions. So thank you very much, and I wish you a good start of the weekend. See you later. Bye-bye.